When I'm watching a Tarantino movie, I'm having the time of my life. When Django shoots the slaver right in the Bible pages, I'm having the time of my life.
I like the way you die, boy.
And when characters talk for 3 hours about how much they don't trust each other, I'm having the time of my life. More than I can say for any other director out there who makes movies, Quentin Tarantino makes watching his movies an activity of pure entertainment, to the point where when it's playing, I can't stop watching it, because it's just so much fun. When you boil it down to the bare bones, I think there's actually an art form to this simple concept, and it's potentially so outrageously simple that writers and directors might completely overlook it entirely.
Yeah, well, that's just like your opinion, man.
I feel like this feeling that I'm describing here is often put on the back burner when a director directs, or when a screenwriter writes a script, or when an editor edits. If anyone knows a thing or two about writing a story, or has delved into it a bit themselves and tried to, you know just how complicated and how structured it can be. In order to tell a compelling story, they say you need to create compelling characters, each of them who have unique personalities and motivations that generate conflict and become an engine for the plot to move forward. You might have heard of the 3-act or 5-act structure, maybe seen different kinds of beat sheets from books like Save the Cat that break story down into formulaic templates. Or if you are a director, there's the 180-degree rule, worrying about continuity, or how certain shots might lead your audience into feeling different ways. Same for editing, same for acting, same for it all. Don't get me wrong, all of these things are extremely valuable things to know for each of these filmmaking roles. In fact, they're probably essential to be aware of if you want to do your job well and make a good movie. But no matter the case, everyone's goal is the same. And it's that: to make a good movie. But what is a good movie? What makes a good movie? This is an opinion-based question because, of course, people enjoy different things. You may be someone who defines a good movie as being beautifully visually, or funny, or having required to have dogs in it, or maybe for you a good movie means it's short, or maybe it's long, has big explosions in it, or maybe you're a psychopath and prefer books. For a lot of people, Tarantino movies are bad, and that's okay. It's okay to have the wrong opinion. But for those of us who like them, I think it's because of that feeling. That feeling, I think Tarantino keeps at the forefront of his mind. The feeling of fun. Well, maybe fun is not the right word. Over my times of listening to interviews featuring this man, or even right now as I'm in the middle of his new book, Cinema Speculation, I've noticed a common theme that comes up when he talks about his movies or other people's movies. Quentin loves movies, maybe more than anything else. Growing up, his mom took him to see a ridiculous amount of movies, and so from early on he got himself a taste of what he liked. And not only did he like some stuff, it's the fact that he knew exactly what he liked. He knew the scenes, he knew the moments, and he knew the reaction that these moments gave him. So when he got the chance to finally make his own movie, he knew what to do.
I love my movies. I'm making them for me.
That's great.
I'm making them for me. Everybody else is invited.
And this is the core piece. This is the Lego base plate that builds the Lego house that explains to me why his movies are such a fun time, are such a blast to watch. It's because he made them for himself. He didn't make his movies for any audience. He made a movie as if he was the audience. As if he were to sit down in a movie theater. What would be the movie I would enjoy? What would be the scene I would enjoy? What would be the moment that I would enjoy? It just so happened that by chance, what Quentin enjoyed is what a lot of people enjoyed. In his book, he chooses a bunch of his favorite movies from the 70s and basically explains to us why he likes them so much. Movies like Taxi Driver, Bullet, and Deliverance. In every chapter, while he does delve into each movie's history and context to the time they were released compared to the movies of that time, it's never about how this tells us something about society or something like that. Movies was his society. Whenever a movie stood out to him, it's because of how much fun he had at the theater. It's very clear from reading this that one of the most important things to him is the communal experience of being in a full theater, experiencing something with other people at the same time.
When a movie comes out that you're interested in enough to see, and it makes you leave your house, buy a ticket, you could do anything in the world you want that night. but you decide to go to see a film, one film in particular, and you go and see it, and you buy a ticket, and you sit down, and you have an experience, and you have an experience with a bunch of strangers.
When he talks about how Bullet stood out among the rest of the cop movies of the time, it was because of the director's incredible skill in making action scenes fun to watch. It was because Steve McQueen was just so much fun to watch. When he talks about Dirty Harry, it was because Clint Eastwood stops a bunch of robbers while eating a hot dog. It was just because he was so much fun to watch. Or with what he says about Paul Thomas Anderson's There Will Be Blood.
As exquisite as There Will Be Blood is, I still prefer the exuberance of Boogie Nights over the formalism of There Will Be Blood.
We hear actors say all the time, oh, I don't like to watch my own movies. Obviously, that's out of a little bit of embarrassment, which is completely understandable.
Anytime my movies are on, like on TV, I'm like, oh, hey, oh, well, I guess now I'm watching Jackie Brown for a while.
This kind of mindset, I feel like, shouldn't really be ignored. Is it arrogant? Maybe a little bit, but I think it's kind of beautiful at the same time. I mean, it makes a lot of sense too, if you think about it. Why make a movie in the first place if it's not something you would want to watch? Also, just to clear something up, when I say something is fun to watch, I don't mean that it's funny to watch. Well, of course, comedy is fun to watch.
Man. I'm pretty fucking far from okay.
Making the distinction between comedy and simply enjoying something is also important. That's why I said fun might not be the right word. If you know the word that I'm trying to find here, please, entertaining, exciting, riveting, engaging, fun, I can't find it. But action is also fun. Horror is also fun. And what Tarantino is king at, suspense, is also fun. All of these things are a reactionary response to the scenes on screen. There are some reactions that are not fun. And this brings us back to the whole subjective thing too. A lot of people find overt gore or violence to be displeasing or offensive, and then some people just find it exhilarating.
Why the need for so much gruesome, graphic violence? Why not let us imagine
Because it's so much fun, Chan. Get it?
But I think his goal in writing and directing is to exploit the kind of reactions he loves the most, to their maximum level of exploitation. Unlike what I think a lot of people focus on, which are those technical elements of story or of theme, he lets those things happen naturally.
All of a sudden, the more I wrote, the more I realized the movie was a father-son story, and that Mr. White was functioning as Mr. Orange's father.
In every single one of his movies, audience experience is priority. How can I make this movie awesome? In Reservoir Dogs, his feature film debut, he had to make something cheaply because no one's going to give a first-time director a blockbuster budget in their first try. So he went towards minimal locations and came up with a concept that to him sounded like it would make a good movie. It sounded like something he would go see. A heist movie, but you never see the heist. Only the aftermath as everything falls apart. Most of the film is people talking to each other, so let's make the dialogue entertaining to watch. A scene where a bank robber interrogates a cop. How can we amplify the reaction we want? How can we make this more fun? Well, let's have him dance to some music and proceed to cut the cop's ear off. A scene where a man gets his ear cut off, you'd think the music and tone would be darker, but no. He makes it the opposite. Why? Does it provide some kind of important thematic element or character beat? Well, it does, but also, it's just fun. But it also wouldn't be fun unless it also provided those necessary story elements. It's more than merely shock value. By making something fun, by default, those things exist because they have to, in order for it to work. It's like if you bake a good cake, the ingredients will be there if it's a good cake. Is this backwards thinking? Maybe, but I think it works. A scene where a man chooses to overcome his differences with an enemy and save his life from horrific events. Looks in a pawn shop to choose his weapon of choice. First off, a crazy idea right away. But wait, what weapon does he choose? A gun? No. A hammer? No. A chainsaw? No. A samurai sword. Why? Because
Fuck you.
That's why. A scene where an evil slaver converses with an ex-slave about the purchasing of slaves. Are you seeing a pattern here with the quality of these ideas? How can we make this more entertaining to watch? Well, let's have the evil slaver guy pull out the actual skull of an old slave to use as an intimidation tactic, and then let's have him smash it to pieces with a hammer and deliver a scientifically incorrect monologue about the biology of human skulls with complete confidence. Why? Because you'll be riveted. That's why. In a scene where undercover Allied agents go to a German bar to exchange secrets, How can we make this more entertaining to watch? Let's have the bar be full of Nazis and make them have to talk their way out of it in German. And then he just keeps going. And then let's have them all get killed at the end anyways. Why? Because you'll love it. That's why.
Shut the fuck up, Donnie.